Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with fabulous concert programs, number 119. And in this little series, I think there are about 4 programs, we're going to be covering the music of Italian composer Giovanni Sgambati. Really a splendid composer. His dates were 1841 to 1914. And like his younger contemporary, his later contemporary, Martucci, he wrote almost exclusively in large instrumental forms. Chamber music, symphonies, concertos, those kinds of things. The kinds of things Italian composers weren't supposed to do and got no credit if they did. And as a result, Sgambati has been largely neglected, but he wrote 2 symphonies, a piano concerto, well, 3 symphonies, really, some concert overtures and other things. And most of the music that I've heard by him is really, really good. I mean, he was a sensationally talented composer in these supposedly Germanic forms, which were, of course, all invented in Italy anyway, so what the heck. Anyway, the first program, number 119 in our series, features his first symphony, but that comes after the intermission. We begin with Respighi, and we're going to cover some interesting Respighi, too, in this, and other wonderful Italian composers. I'm really looking forward to this series because there's just a lot of good music out there that doesn't get played, ever. So we begin with Respighi, his Belfagor Overture. So what is Belfagor? Well, Belfagor is a comedy fantasy opera about a little devil who wants to get married and, comic things ensue. Now, the overture is a completely independent work. It is not the overture to the opera. He wrote it separately. It's almost a tone poem. It makes a wonderful opening to your average symphony concert. It's about 11 or 12 minutes long. It's Respighi. It's opulently scored. It's a lot of fun. It really is. And so I think, what the heck? Let's do it. Why don't we? And we follow it up with Alfredo Casella's Violin Concerto. Now, this piece is as good as unknown. It's shamefully unknown, in my view. It's quite beautiful. It's only been recorded maybe once, I think, on Superfon of all labels, maybe twice. Not very often. And it's not even included in most of the more recent collections of Casella orchestral works. And I just can't figure out why. Well, I know why. The reason is because Casella had a very progressive and evolutionary style. He started out as a sort of proto-Mahlerian disciple in a late romantic, rich Mahler-Strauss decadent sort of vein. And then he became a neoclassicist. And when he became a neoclassicist, he didn't really disavow his earlier works entirely, but he also didn't do much for them. And the Violin Concerto is a transitional piece. It's almost like a Mahlerian violin concerto, if you can imagine such a thing. If you can get your hands on it or give it a listen, you really should. It makes a wonderful, first half concerto piece and an unusual concerto. If you can find someone who will play the damn thing. I mean, my feeling about these things is always, I try and find some hotshot soloist to bring in the audience. But of course, no one's ever going to do these concerts in real life, so you're the audience, and we don't need a hotshot violinist. I mean, otherwise it would just be wishful thinking, right? Probably wishful thinking, because Casella doesn't get anything like the acclaim he deserves. I mean, he was probably the greatest Italian composer in the first half of the 20th century, and that includes Respighi, but no one cares. So this violin concerto is absolutely wonderful, and it will be a real discovery for all those of you who are interested in, Italian instrumental music in the 20th century and that whole wonderful school around Respighi and Malipiero and Ghedini and, that crew. They did wonderful things. And Casella was the best of the batch in many respects. So then we have intermission, and we go back to the 1880s or so, 1880-something, and Sgambati's Symphony No. 1. This thing is a bloody masterpiece. I am not kidding. It's been recorded a couple of times. Here's one of them. It's on CPO with the Württembergische Philharmonie Reutlingen under Ola Rudner, or the one on Naxos, which is also quite wonderful, with the Orchestra Sinfonica di Roma, which no longer exists, by the way, under Francesco Lavecchia. They're both excellent performances. The work is about, well, it's 43 minutes long in this performance and 38 in this, so this one's a bit quicker. But you don't hear the difference. Lavecchia's performances of this Italian stuff tend to be a little bit more leisurely than the competition, but he's like Anthony Vitt in that respect. He lets phrases breathe and it sings, and I just think it's fine. Once you get to know the works well, you won't mind at all, believe me. And this piece also has a delightful overture, Cola di Rienzo, which is an 18-minute long overture, tone poem type thing. So you get more Sgambati here. Here you get the Second Symphony, which is major if you just want the two symphonies and nothing else. But the other things are really very, very good. So I just want to point out that these exist. Now, the First Symphony is in 5 movements, which makes it a little bit unusual. It's scored rather opulently. I mean, there's a piccolo throughout, maybe because it's Italian. They like piccolos. 2 harps, which are used exquisitely in the slow movement. Really, really beautiful. And these 5 movements are, none of them are too long. It's a perfectly balanced Bartok-like arch form. I mean, the movements are allegro vivace, non troppo, andante mesto, then a scherzo, a serenata, the 4th movement, which is gorgeous. It's one of those intermezzo type things. It's very Italian and lyrical, and a zippy finale marked allegro con fuoco. Nothing outstays its welcome here. Nothing at all. You're going to want to hear it right away as soon as you're done listening to it, and audiences would eat this up. It's just beautiful, masterful symphonic writing. And why we don't hear it, I am totally have no clue. So if you haven't heard the Sgambati First Symphony, do go listen to it and try this whole program. It will be such a voyage of discovery for you, I guarantee. And maybe, who knows, in some century, somebody might play some of these pieces in real life, and we'll get a chance to hear them live, which would be just delicious. In the meantime, keep on listening, and thank you so much for joining me, friends. Take care.